Hey y'all, and welcome to Miles Vexler Reaction. My name is Miles, and President Trump just left the fake news press spinning in circles again, from obliterating Iran's nuclear site to schooling them on Israeli intelligence. And then, he casually drops that Putin wants to help with Iran, while Trump tells him to fix Russia first. Classic Trump. The left's heads are about to explode with this one. Let's dive in.
Yes, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, fake news, CNN?
Here, I'll hold it.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Wait till you hear this question.
Thank you, sir.
You should really say how great our soldiers and our warriors are.
I think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do have two questions for you, Mr. President. You just cited Israeli intelligence on these attacks. Earlier, you said U.S. intelligence was inconclusive. Are you relying on Israeli intelligence for your assessment of the impact of the strikes?
No, this is also Iran made the statement. And it's also, if you read the document that was given, that Pete can talk about if you'd like, the document said it could be very severe damage, but they didn't take that. They said it could be limited or it could be very severe. They really didn't know, other than to say it could be limited or it could be very, very severe. And you didn't choose to put that because it was very early after. Since then, we've collected additional intelligence. We've also spoken to people who have seen the site, and the site is obliterated. And we think everything nuclear is down there. They didn't take it out. Okay, question? Please, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, blue dress.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Yesterday, you said China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran.
Yeah.
Are you giving up on your maximum pressure campaign? Because there are sanctions right now.
With who?
On Iran.
No, look, they just had a war. The war was fought. They fought it bravely. I'm not giving up. They're in the oil business. I mean, I could stop it if I wanted. I could sell China the oil myself. I don't want to do that. They're going to need money to put that country back into shape. We want to see that happen. Would it? No. If they're going to sell oil, they're going to sell oil. We're not taking over the oil. We could have, you know. I used to say with Iraq, keep the oil. I could say it here, too. We could have kept the oil. No, China is going to want to buy oil. They can buy it from us. They can buy it from other people. But you're going to have to put that country back into shape. It desperately needs money. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please. Here we go. I'm picking the beauties today. Go ahead.
Mr. President, Secretary General Rutte has described President Putin as an adversary, a threat, an enemy. Do you view him the same way? And in addition to that, you mentioned General Kane, your chief of staff, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
General Kane.
Yes, he has said that Mr. Putin has territorial ambitions beyond Ukraine. Do you view that in the same way?
Possible. I mean, it's possible. I know one thing. He'd like to settle. He'd like to get out of this thing. It's a mess for him. He called the other day. He said, can I help you with Iran? I said, no, you can help me with Russia. Because, you know, in the last few weeks, we took care of India and Pakistan, Kosovo, Serbia. I think on Friday we have coming in, the Congo is coming in, and Rwanda is coming in. That was a vicious war that went on, a machete war, heads chopped off all over Africa. They're coming in. We did two others in addition to that. Nobody's ever done anything like this. No, I consider him a person that's, I think, been misguided. I'm very surprised, actually. I thought we would have had that settled easy. I've settled 4 of them in the meantime. But he did call up, and he said, you know, he's close to Iran. He'd like to help us get a settlement. I said, no, you help me get a settlement with you, with Russia. And I think we're going to be doing that, too. Yeah.
After shutting down fake news CNN at the NATO summit and reminding the world who's really in charge, Trump didn't stop there. His bold strike on Iran sent an even louder message, not just to America, but to the entire world. Here's what national security expert Rebecca Heinrichs had to say. Take a look.
Let's bring in Hudson Institute senior fellow Rebecca Heinrichs. And Rebecca, I'm sure you were listening to the president's press conference there last hour. Lasted about 20 to about 30 minutes. A lot was covered. The number one takeaway I think a lot of us had was about what NATO is going to do going forward, but we cannot look past his comments on what happened with regard to the bombing in Iran over the weekend, saying statements as to the future, phrases like they are not going to enrich. The last thing they want to do is enrich. They are not going to do it again, and I think they've had it. What do you make of the president's comments on Iran's willingness and capability to develop a nuke in the future?
Well, look, I mean, you can only take care of the problems immediately in front of you. And so we took care of the Iranian nuclear program just a few days ago. If the Iranians are so foolish as to make more problems for us, I have no doubt that President Trump will take care of that problem as well. Look, I think this is a big deal. I think that this is a really big deal that President Trump took decisive action, demonstrated incredible military power and military capability to take out the Iranian nuclear program. And also, it gives President Trump and the United States a lot of credibility that we will do what we say we're going to do. You were talking about NATO. He's now at the NATO summit. NATO can be confident that the United States has the military capability and a president who has the will to say what he means if, in fact, you have a country that crosses us like the Iran regime did. And I think that that bolsters the credibility of NATO as well.
Understood. Here's more of what the president had to say just moments ago.
Very good. I think very good. Israel came back yesterday. I was so proud of them. Because they came back, they went out because they felt there was a violation. And technically they were right, but it just wouldn't have worked out very well. And they brought the planes back. They had gone on to another journey because there was a little bit of a violation. And I said, you got to get them back. And they came back, and it was a great thing. And it's going very well.
So the president confirming that the Israel-Iran ceasefire is going well for now. And he made that phone call to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to call the planes back from a potential Iranian attack. While he was on the plane going to this NATO summit, he also said, Rebecca, during these remarks to the media, that he believes that the United States is going to have some form of relationship with Iran in the years to come after this current conflict is over. What do you think about that? It feels like the president is doing the carrot and stick method, where Iran certainly saw the stick, and now the president could be offering them the carrot.
Well, I think it's interesting. President Trump made the remark a few days ago that the United States does not have any permanent enemies. And so he's always looking for improvement between relations. I'm skeptical that the Iran regime is anywhere near the state of mind to move forward with a more positive relationship. But look, the option is still open. I do think it's important to note that even as President Trump tries to get the Israelis to stand down on some of the more aggressive air campaign against the Iranians, there still needs to be you still need to have Israelis inside the country doing private campaigns to make sure that they get any of the other illicit nuclear material out of Iran. So there's still going to be some military options, I think, going on inside Iran on the part of the Israelis. I think the United States would be extremely wise to support that. It's just that we're almost certainly not going to see these much more aggressive air campaigns that the Israelis have been so successful at carrying out thus far.
And on the left-hand side of your screen, Rebecca, the president of the United States, once again, now posing for a picture with, I believe, if my eyesight serves me, that is not Emmanuel Macron. I just need better glasses. Okay.
The NATO Secretary General.
Okay. Before we let you go, I want to ask your thoughts on this. Within the past few hours, the Iranian parliament voting to suspend cooperation with the IAEA. Is that significant, or was Iran's cooperation with the IAEA always tenuous at best?
Well, look, there's a lot of criticism from the expert community of President Trump that because he authorized and directed the United States to take out Iran's nuclear program, that the United States was in violation of international law. My response to that is we just enforced the non-proliferation treaty, which the Iranians were in violation of. So if the Iranians now decide that they're not going to cooperate with the IAEA, I say, look, that organization is there to conduct inspections of your nuclear program. You were already in violation of the non-proliferation treaty. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, I think right now we're going to hear a lot of, upset rhetoric from the Iran regime, understandably. I would like to see them comply with the IAEA, but we need to get the Iranians complying with all sorts of international norms of which they've been in violation to this point.
And we're hearing that all the world leaders are going to be gathering. They're going to be taking a family photo. I love that name.
Great name.
And we're going to be bringing you those images when they come in. But Rebecca, something else I wanted to ask you about is that Iranian media is reporting this morning that they have executed 3 Mossad spies, that they're describing them as Mossad spies that were living in Iran. And Iran is also saying that more than 700 people who they say were aligned with Israel have been arrested over the last 12 days. So two questions really come to mind when it comes to that. Could those actions by Iran impact the ceasefire that is very fragile and taking place right now? And also, could that create an uprising in Iran against the regime itself?
Well, I hope so, to answer your latter question. I mean, I think President Trump was right when a couple of days ago he said that essentially we would welcome a change in the regime in Iran. The Iranian people are the ones that are going to have to do it. You're not going to see, I think, pressure from the United States downward to try to make that happen. But clearly, we would want a secular regime that granted security and freedom and blessed the Iranian people, and did not oppress the Iranian people. That would be good for the United States. That would be good for them. They're the ones that have suffered more than any other person under this Iran regime that's really a jihadist regime and has been the most aggressive and active state sponsor of terrorism and instability throughout the Middle East. I think we're going to hear a lot of, again, bad things coming out of the Iran regime because they're flailing at this point. There's only so much they can do. But I think, we should expect to hear some pretty terrible things coming out saying that they are doing horrible things to the Iranian people and alleged Mossad spies. I certainly pray that is not the case.
Rebecca Heinrichs, thank you for your insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Miles Vexler Reaction. My name is Miles, and today, buckle up, because President Trump just reminded the world what real leadership looks like, and it's got the media melting down all over again. Let's start with that classic moment from the NATO summit, where Trump did what Trump does best, cutting through the noise and shutting down the fake news CNN crew right to their faces. You could feel the tension in the room when a CNN reporter tried to corner him with one of their tired, misleading questions. But Trump wasn't having it. Instead of playing their game, he flipped the script, pointing to the real heroes, America's soldiers and warriors, reminding everyone who actually deserves respect, not the media spinning their anti-American narratives. And then came the so-called gotcha question, asking if President Trump was relying on Israeli intelligence instead of US intelligence about Iran. Notice how they tried to twist it, but Trump, as always, was 2 steps ahead. He calmly explained that intelligence comes from multiple sources, including Israel, and the facts were undeniable. Iran's nuclear site was obliterated, gone, reduced to rubble. That's not speculation, that's reality. Our enemies got the message loud and clear. America doesn't play games when it comes to national security, but CNN didn't stop. Next, they tried to trap him on Iran and China, pushing this narrative that he's somehow giving up on his maximum pressure campaign. And Trump, he handled it like the boss he is. He made it crystal clear. If Iran sells oil, it's because their country is in shambles. They desperately need money to rebuild after the years of devastation their regime brought upon their own people. Trump knows exactly how to apply pressure, not just through sanctions, but through strategic diplomacy. That's how you deal with adversaries, not endless wars, not pointless lectures from the media, but cold, hard leverage. Then the conversation turned to Putin. The media loves to paint this fantasy where Trump is soft on Russia. But listen to Trump's own words. He called out Putin's missteps, exposed his territorial ambitions, and made it known that under his leadership, chaos won't be tolerated. Trump isn't naive. He understands that these world leaders, even Putin, want out of their messes. And when they come to Trump for help, he sets the terms. He protects America first, always. Whether it's Iran, Russia, or anywhere else, Trump operates from a position of strength, not weakness. And speaking of strength, let's talk about Trump's bold strike on Iran. The media tried to downplay it, but Rebecca Heinrichs from the Hudson Institute wasn't fooled. She laid it out plain and simple. Trump's decisive action against Iran's nuclear program wasn't just a military move. It was a statement to the world. America does what it says. Period. No empty threats, no dithering, just results. And that credibility, it's contagious. At the NATO summit, allies like Israel know they can count on Trump. He made it clear that when Israel took action to prevent escalation with Iran, he backed them. He called Prime Minister Netanyahu, ensured calm prevailed, and showed yet again that real leadership isn't about reckless aggression. It's about calculated strength, backed by the will to act when necessary. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Despite all the media's doom and gloom, Trump extended an olive branch, saying the US doesn't have permanent enemies. Imagine that. A world where after the dust settles, even a brutal regime like Iran could be brought to the table. Not through weakness, but because they've been forced to respect American power. That's the carrot and stick approach the Democrats love to mock, but it works. The stick came first. Obliterate their nuclear ambitions. Now the possibility of peace, but only on our terms. Rebecca Heinrichs also called out the hypocrisy from the so-called experts criticizing Trump for violating international law. Here's the truth. Iran violated the Non-Proliferation Treaty first. Trump didn't violate anything. He enforced it. That's what leadership looks like. Protecting America, enforcing agreements, and refusing to bow to the globalist bureaucrats, more worried about appeasement than results. And of course, Iran's regime is panicking. Their parliament suspending cooperation with the IAEA? That's desperation. Their claims of arresting spies and cracking down on dissent? Classic signs of a regime on the verge of collapse. And Trump made it clear. Regime change won't come from American tanks. It will come from the Iranian people themselves, once they've had enough of the oppression, the jihadist policies, and the state-sponsored terrorism that's kept the Middle East in turmoil for decades. Folks, this is the difference between Republican strength and Democrat weakness. Trump doesn't apologize for America. He doesn't back down from the media. He doesn't let our enemies set the rules. He protects our soldiers, enforces our security, and makes sure the world knows if you cross America, there will be consequences. And that's just the beginning. We've got so much more to break down, from the ongoing Iran situation to the power plays happening behind the scenes at NATO. So be sure to stick with me right here on Miles Vexler Reaction. Smash that like button, subscribe, and get ready. Because next time, we're going even deeper. See y'all soon.